Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. This is Mike Steckline with the Institute for Enterprise Excellence. We have a great presentation today. Michael Shea from the HAP, he's going to explain what that is going to present for us. He alerted me to an award that they had won. I knew they were doing great work, and that award prompted me to ask him if he would consider doing a webinar for us, which is he has agreed to do that, so that's much appreciated. As far as a little housekeeping, the phones are going to be on mute during the presentation. You can use the chat function to ask questions later on when Michael's finished with his formal part of the presentation. We will unmute the phones, and if anyone wants to have some dialogue, to be able to do that. This webinar will be recorded. It is being recorded so that if you want to refer to it later on, you can. If others want to refer to it, you can send the link to them and they can benefit from the presentation. A little bit about the Institute for Enterprise Excellence. We describe ourselves as pracademics. We try to reside right on that waterline with the information at the top is the tools and methods, but we know that without theory, these will have no meaning. And also we don't try not to stay too low into the theory, because theory alone without application is waste. And part of what we try to do is identify opportunities for everyone to learn and share from each other. And presentations such as the one that Michael's going to do today allows us to make that possible. Just a bit about the models for improvement that we talk about and explain in our work. I know that in some of the slides, Michael's going to be talking a bit about some of the background on how they learned this. And our current articulation of the model for improvement that we use is really based upon, started with one model, the model for sustainability. We talk about a model for velocity and how that connects to both principles as well as systems and tools, but primarily I think starting with principles. And then a model for deployment. All of this is available on white papers that we have on our website. The reason I mentioned this is I'm showing a slide that can be a fairly busy slide, but it was put together when I was the network director at the Theta Care Center. A team that we had that was learning about an assessment model based primarily on the Shingo model. We had a discussion about the difference between the Shingo model and the Baldrige framework. And as a Baldrige examiner and other people that were interested in this, I felt that we could talk about that a bit. And part of this, the presentation also discussed how we at the Institute for Enterprise Excellence are continuing to build upon what we're doing. And so you're going to hear reference on some of the materials today that Michael's going to be talking about in the models that he's presenting. And I just wanted to point out a little bit about how we at the Institute for Enterprise Excellence continue to evolve our thinking. And a lot of it is based on presentations like what you'll hear today. So we continue to evolve our thinking. Perhaps down the road we'll have another presentation specifically on this slide, but I just wanted to give a little bit of background context. I know that one of the ways that Michael and his team have learned is through a course that we did at Henry Ford Health System. And there's a photograph of some of the people in attendance at that course, and you can learn more about that. I've just circled the education tab on our website. So Michael's going to be talking about what they're doing, how they've learned about this. This was one of the opportunities, I believe this was about last year in 2015, where they participated in that course. So now I'm going to turn it over to Michael Shea and his team, and he's going to talk a little bit about some of the things they're doing, their journey, and again, appreciate Michael and his team taking time to do this.
Thank you very much, Mike, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about our journey a little bit. I actually just spoke to the Michigan Association of Health Plans yesterday out in Eaton Rapids, Michigan, just south of Lansing, on what we did to earn the Pinnacle Award that they awarded to us back in September. And this is kind of, some of it is a recap of what I presented yesterday, but it goes deeper because this particular audience, I think, is more interested in more the tactical things that we did. How can we apply it to our practices, because that's how we learn. We learn the best from sharing and going to Gembas. And I can't thank ThedaCare and Institute for Excellence enough about what they have taught me over the past year or two in order to get to where we are. And like I said, it's a journey, though. It's continuous. So we were extremely honored to win the Pinnacle Award, but equally honored to share our concepts, our lean concepts, with other health plans. And I did that yesterday. And what it really can do is it really is all about is trying to make a difference for the people of Michigan. So yeah, we may have had some competitors there yesterday, but in the end, we win because the lean principles are tried and true. They work in any industry, and it helps us to evolve it and really spread that knowledge and spread that craft around the different industries. Just a little bit of background about myself. I'm the manager of continuous improvement. Been at HAP Health Alliance Plan just over 3 years, and we've gotten a lot of work done so far, but we've got a lot more work to do. And before that, I was actually at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan for close to 18 years, doing a number of capacities, mostly continuous improvement. Our division at HAP is the Business Transformation Division, and we are tasked with transforming really the culture, which is enabling all employees and contractors at HAP to perform improvements on a daily basis. If anything that we're all trying to do, I think, in my mind is we're trying to make sure everybody is doing improvements every day, or as much improvements every day. So that's a little bit about myself. Getting to know HAP a little bit. Although HAP, and I don't know if everybody knows of this about it, we're primarily, our bedrock presence is in Southeast Michigan, but we also have a statewide and national networks. We have offices in Grand Rapids and Flint. So if you really look at the mitten, and Michigan looks like a mitten, if those in the other states, the left side or the west side of the state, you've got Grand Rapids, which is a western part, and then you've got the Southeast Michigan, which is a lot of people live in Southeast Michigan, and then the East region where the thumb of the mitten is, as well as rising up to the east part of the state. That's where Flint is located, and you may have heard a little bit about the Flint water crisis that was going on over there. We have close to, and then we're also, another key thing to note is we are a key subsidiary of Henry Ford Health System, which is a large healthcare organization. It's been around for many years, started by Henry Ford, and it is growing. We've recently expanded our presence a little bit outside of Southeast Michigan into a city called Jackson, which is more towards the middle, lower part of the state, and then that really helps us to grow significantly. We have close to, at HAP, we have close to 700,000 members. We're around second in the state behind Blue Cross, and we have over 1,000 employees. We have a long history in this state. We really sell a complete product portfolio, including Medicaid products. And this wide reach and multiple organizations, because we have our own subsidiaries. We have a third-party administrator, we have Medicaid business, we have subsidiaries now in East Region. It really gives us a chance to spread the wings of our ReThink strategy and thrive. So that's really what's been really good for us. A little bit about the mission. Our mission is really enhancing the health and well-being of the lives we touch. And the reason why I'm bringing up this mission is because it's critically important to what we do as an organization and how we teach ReThink to the rest of the organization. Because everything we teach the departments that we can come in contact with, they develop their department mission statements, and they always have to show alignment to the overall HAP mission statement. And why do we really emphasize mission? It's because as we work with them, we want the employees to feel good about themselves and to understand how what they're doing on a daily basis is actually affecting the North Star or our mission. A little bit about transformation. There has been a ton of change going on at HAP. When I first came on board just over 3 years ago, they were replacing all the major core operating systems, whether it's claims, roll bill, service, medical management, a lot of facility changes, making our facility changes different. So there's a lot of technology advancements that were happening. In addition, I came right in the middle of the Affordable Care Act as the business process architect to do that. And so you can only imagine how many the core systems going on, as well as AFA or ACA, that really a lot was happening in the organization. And then on top of that, you had the customer experience has been a big thing, a big buzzword in the healthcare industry, as you may have realized. So they're trying to make healthcare more retail. So that puts more competitive pressures. And then on top of that, we have mergers, things like this, where we had Health Plus in the East region, which is a great thing to happen for us, but it's also it creates a lot of change. So the one thing I would just say is there's one constant that always happens in healthcare, and it is change. And I think what we always mentioned to the organization is, how do we make sure when expect the unexpected, when you have the government, working with the government, things like that. And that's exactly what happened with ACA. And then also when things happen, just be ready to be able to move with it. The last thing I'll say about HAP, though, is it's very family oriented in terms of culture, which really made it ripe for ReThink to really spread and lean to spread nicely. Who influenced our journey? Obviously, we're familiar with a lot of these people, but these are the lean experts. We focus on TPS, Toyota Production System, quite a bit. And so you've got Dr. Deming, Dr. Shingo. One of the great blessings we've had is Dr. Richard Zarbo, who's an author in his own right, but he basically took the Toyota Production System years ago and applied it into his lab and pathology area in Henry Ford Health System. So I've been working with him. He's been a really good mentor for me. And really what it's all about, and what we teach, is about how do we increase value to the customer and eliminate waste. And obviously the big thing that you always hear about is, well, isn't lean about cutting jobs? And we purposely, we really nip that in the bud right away. It's not about cutting jobs. And if you do get efficiencies, that's where redeployments happen with people in the organization. I mean, those are the types of things we really try to get the fear out of people, away from people, so they can feel good about their jobs. And as you can see, mentoring is an important part of our craft. And I work with peers in my industry as well as many other industries, which just for the example, just today, right now, being able to present to all of you is an example of how do we share ideas back and forth with each other to do better, because we are also interested in continuous improvement ourselves. We also do, we get involved, my team gets involved in lean certifications, ASQ, obviously Theta Care and Institute, the Institute here, and then also Michigan Lean Consortium, Shingo Institute. So it really gives us a great deal of help to really push the craft. The other thing is the Toyota culture. Culture is the key. Toyota is the model we use. Key is the culture and behavior changes. And as you all know, culture change is hard stuff. It's psychological, but it has massive sustainability impacts, and we are just starting to really feel that. But it is a journey. It takes a lot of work to continue and sustain. The Shingo Institute is a big deal. The Shingo model, cultural change is at the center. It wasn't always like that, but I think what I love about it is the culture being so critically important to the where they are going, where we are all going as organizations, really helps us steer right in the right direction for sustainability. So we have utilized the Shingo assessment tool, and we have enhanced it a bit to help us to internally assess how we are gauging our journey's progress. And I'll show you a slide that'll do that. So we're continuously improving our own CI area. Familiar slide. TPS emphasizes the system and people aspects. If you utilize TPS principles and tools, waste and value will be impacted. We all know that. The one thing I wanted to mention, though, that sometimes gets hidden is, oh no, always emphasize, you talked about profit equals price minus cost. And what I always try to do is focus on, you can really impact many of those levers. We not only impact the administrative cost lever, but also the benefit or claims cost lever in the healthcare system. We want to eliminate waste, things that are wrong, so we can help our profitability. But I would even say that we're trying to affect the revenue side too, the price point, because it allows us to make sure we're in a position where we can be strong with our particular different segments that we're selling to. Obviously, the pull and all those particular elements are tools that we teach, and that's what helps us get better. I can tell you though, it's a journey. It's not something that you learn. Because there's always going to be opportunities to improve. It got a little delayed. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. This particular over 3 years ago, and I have stuck to the plan. First things I had to do is to create a core and get structure and owners to see how the organization is going to be structured. The goal of our journey is sustainable improvement on a daily basis. I mentioned that.
Michael, your audio keeps. Hey, Michael, your audio keeps. Let me do this. Your audio keeps going in.
Yeah, let me do this. Yeah, let me do this. I'm going to move the thing there because I'm turning my. The organization. Next slide. Let me just get this over. There we go. So there's the particular slide with but it kind of gives you an idea of where I wanted to create a lot of structure in the organization to help us and do things. And on the lower left, you can see that there are ReThink champions for each function. We just created that this year. Mentions of us in the organization, which is going to be helpful. Is that better, Mike?
Yeah, but there's still some going in and out. I don't quite understand the cause, so we'll keep working through it.
So what is ReThink? ReThink is really about introducing a new culture in the organization. ReThink and we are asking and encouraging and coaching them to shoot for daily improvements. The re, so you can see the person is critical to the you really want to turn your head sideways to actually think about different things. How are we gonna make sure that we are changing Hold on, Mike. Okay, there we go. So we branded it. Branding it was really important, and now it's really in addition to collateral that you can see above, we have a ReThink Champion program, which I just mentioned. That has been a journey, though. People in the right positions for the ReThink champions, but that's something we're working through as well. Some are fantastic at doing it too, though, which is good. And then there's a thing called a ReThink Cup, and that's given to as I mentioned yesterday at the MEHP, Michigan Association of Health Plans, I do not know if people have been drinking champagne out of the cup. It's that big, but it gives you an idea of what that looks like. The Rethink journey, hold on, I'm trying to maneuver this mic, hold on. Okay, there we go. The Rethink journey, we've had around 83 A3 projects with goals and metrics. And that did not even include all the CI facilitated improvements, which clearly it could have been at least 100 that we did as well. Measurable improvements in quality, timeliness, inventory, productivity, and satisfaction. If you look at the acronym, what that stands for is Q-tips. That's something that Zarbo taught me, and it was a really simpler way of teaching people about metrics, members of vendors, and also even the provider side too. Because what we notice is the supplier base that we really focus on, they're a key part of, they may be a key part of any defects that we're getting, so we have to influence that as well. All metric results are tracked. We celebrate our success. Data is collected, in simple ways and complex ways, and then with the right data, we can show the solid decision making. We also have a very methodical approach to how simply is knowing that there's consistency. They know that when they're assigned to something, we get something from the leaders, they give it to me, I assign it to them, then we go to a leader intro session. We will not move forward with that improvement if the leaders do not give us a good it could be a Kaizen, rapid improvement event, it could be simply close out the initiative, and then before we actually completely take it off our list, we go through a warranty period, usually a few months, to make sure it sticks. So it keeps us busy. Our roadmap to success. This is our teaching model. The teaching model, during 2015, we trained about 280 to 200 leaders this year. After we had earned our recognition with some medium and large scale improvements in 2014, we set out to do the teaching and the coaching of all the leaders. Our teaching model includes lean history, and I'll go through this in a minute, but lean history, principles, value stream, A3s, and PDCA, in order to prepare them for a performance goal, for their performance goal improvement that they have to do, and it's in the form of an A3. So, and as I mentioned, I'll mention it again, our end goal is to have employees do improvements themselves on a daily basis. How do we make sure we never will reach, but it is something we have really focused our attention on. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, as part of our program, we have not used external consultants, which is that's kind of rare. Because everybody I've talked to, they usually go out and they get a consulting firm to do a lot of their upfront work. We've been really able to learn from a lot of the experts out there and really formed our own plan for our culture. And there will always be waste. Mike, there we go. And then agenda for the one-day class, this is how it runs. And the big question, as I mentioned, we do the intro to lean, we do lean principles, we do PDCA learning exercises, and I'm getting into that in a second. The value stream mapping, we do A3 writing, and then we get into work groups, and then we do a Huddle System review, and then we actually do another PDCA learning exercise. Well, what is this PDCA learning exercise? Well, it's a domino exercise, and I'm going to talk about it in a second, but it's a really important way of making the day go better, because people just don't want to sit in a class all day and just listen. We really make it as interactive as we can. And the question you're probably going to ask yourself is, are you serious? It's only a one-day class. How can they possibly get enough out of a one-day class? Well, it's the start of a journey. The one-day class, we give them all the tools, and then we also, after the class, is they are tasked to do a performance goal A3 to get that done, and they don't really get their certificate of learning until they get their A3 done. So it's really an important piece that is part of it. And then also, we do a lot of coaching along the way to make sure that's sticking. I often think that employees have to learn the hard way, and the best way to do it is to exercise it. So we really are put into more of a coaching role than anything else. I'm going to shift the deck again. Let's see. There we go. A couple topics that we cover in our class is the intro to lean and continuous improvement culture. This is what Deming taught, of course, and of course Toyota listened and applied the Deming teachings to their culture. Well, we're going to apply it to ours and see how it works. I would say the big thing is emphasize the value of the worker. We are definitely a young, lean culture. They are learning. They are willing to learn, though, which is a big thing that I've seen in this organization. They taught that management role is to empower the workers and to build the system, improve the system, and that's what we're trying to do. For sustainable improvement to occur, management has to work to drive out the fear, and that has been probably the biggest thing we've been doing, is to get rid of the blame, drive out the fear, so you can see the problems, so you can fix them. Another intro to lean and continuous improvement culture. Our mentor has been Dr. Richard Zarbo. Like I said, he's an author in his own right. Dr. Jeffrey Liker's book, he was featured in that on the lab. I would encourage you guys everybody to read it. It's just it was such a great way to go. And I love it the way, I think Henry Ford would be proud of what we're doing. That's what I try to tell my colleagues at Henry Ford a lot. He still runs into a lot of continuous improvement in the lab. But you have all the systems and the tools and process in place to make sure you can attack the problems and make it better. And just to let you know too, is our ideas are really gaining traction at Henry Ford Health System, and it's an exciting opportunity because we really want to be one organization as much as possible, so we can gain from it. And we've been just so it's been a fantastic partnership with my friends at Henry Ford, and how we've journeyed over time. And our new Henry Ford CEO has been encouraged by our ReThink strategy. Wright Lassiter is he's going to be CEO after Nancy Schlichting has been in a retirement part now, and he was interim CEO of HAP for a while, and he really saw what we were doing was it was encouraged, which is a good sign. Metrics. Metrics is something that has been critical. And as I mentioned, Q-tips is such a simple way to teach it to people. And HAP has been, they're young. They're young in terms of metrics. And what we've been really teaching and helping the organization is show the value of the metrics and how that can make a difference. So, this is just an example of how we improved our group quote to card accuracy. You'll see some of the documented accomplishments at the end, but these are just examples of how you can get to a point where people are improving the way they're doing. And as Deming and all the other great experts in the days, without a metric, you can't show improvement. Another thing we teach is lean principles. So we do go through the 14 lean principles of Deming. And then in the class, we try to go through about 10 of them. But an example of the pull and push system, which is a really good piece, and we try to HAPtize it, it's called. And we try to take, there's always the manufacturing side of things, but what does it really mean to HAP, which is a health insurance company? And this is how we try to do it. We really try to make it so people can understand it and apply in their daily lives. So, and a lot of the things we always hear about in principles, we so commonly hear that I'm so busy right now, I don't have time for lean. Well, that's why we really try to be a coach and encouragement to people to say, if you use Lean to improve the work, you may not, you've got time then. So it's a constant battle that we work through. So in addition to the 14 principles, I would say the big thing that we really are working on is tight cross-divisional communications. Has to be practiced daily, and it is constant. Communications is so key, and I think eliminating the silos that we see, that has been a big way to show improvement. And when it happens, when that magic happens, it becomes a really good opportunity. And I would say the big thing that we've seen is the Huddle System that allows us to really show that success. Value stream mapping is another thing we do. And Dr. Zarbo taught us this particular way of doing the value stream. It's a little easier than what you may have seen in Rother and Shook's book. But what we've seen is the process, the task, the waste, and the opportunities, and it's a very fundamental way of walking through it. And what I love about this system of doing value stream mapping is it automatically, naturally creates a project plan, which you can track to and show how are you implementing it and assigning owners to each task. So really, it's a lot easier than swim lanes. It's a lot easier than traditional value streams, but it also gets us to a point of really making sure that the process is broken, not the person. The PDCA, one thing, we really try to keep it simple. As you can see, a lot of these are simple terms, but what we've learned over this time is if you don't keep things simple, you're going to lose people. They're not as sophisticated as us. Many of us, obviously, on the call, we might be industrial engineers or financial people, really, and they're not as sophisticated. So how do we make sure they're learning it and applying it in their daily jobs is, well, we'd really try to focus on PDCA in our teaching on it. And it helps people to use it really attack problems properly and to make sure they're following it step by step all the way to the end. And what we've always seen, I don't know if everybody else has seen this, but the plan do is that's commonly things that people can do well, but the check act is not always done. And we really try to emphasize the check act a lot. Expecting around, at the end of this year, we're probably expecting around 150 to 200 A3s being created across the organization, which really should be good. We're not necessarily always emphasizing the huge financial impacts, although we do see some that have millions of dollars in savings. It's more around making sure you're using the principles properly in order to make sure you're making a difference. If you're if you're using the principles and the tools properly, then we're teaching you right, and then you can apply it towards small or large improvements in the future. The Huddle System has been a critical element to what we've seen. Best-in-class lean organizations have used this. I've been to conferences. The ones that I've seen is every time I hear it, whether it's manufacturing or non-manufacturing, the Huddle System. They use some kind of a visual management daily Huddle System. And ours is, we applied some of the templates from Bronson Health out in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and the University of Michigan Health System on their Huddle template, and then we used it over ours. And we kind of tweaked it a little bit. And we have around, within a year, we have close to 70% of HAP using Huddle systems today. And that's been a big deal. The monthly share the gains that we use are the key to cross-divisional collaboration and continuous improvement. And that's where the magic happens, where the chief operating officer, other VPs across different divisions are listening to the line people, go over their problems, and then what can they do to help them, and to see what kind of successes they're having. So, and obviously, we use what most of the lean experts is. Huddles are not status meetings. You got to focus on what's working, what's not working, what will you change. Think about what Mike Rother is teaching us. That's PDCA. A couple things on the Huddle system, so you can see a couple pictures here. We originally did not have it set as a whiteboard. We actually let them fly on their own ways, but we kept it very simplistic. I'm going to go back and show you something. So in this, you can see you've got a mission statement. The mission statement is critical to helping the department feel like they're making a difference in the organization. And I mentioned that at the beginning of the session. Then they have a defect board. Then you have the metrics, which shows daily metric improvements. We usually have around 2 or 3 metrics in there. 1, 2, 3. And then the second level here, second row, is where we actually have a Pareto chart or frequency chart, which is showing when you're a red, yellow, or when you're red or green, or in this case red, why was it red, and how, and what are you doing? And then that's where the PDCA level down here shows what are you doing to change it from red to green. So it's very methodical. Over here you have a waste, which is a cheat, and then a cheat sheet to show you how to huddle. You have successes, success board. Whoop, can you go back 1 second? I must have pressed it. And then you have your huddle time, the team name, and then you have a retirement binder. You put things in a retirement binder, and afterwards, if you're completed with if you've solved the issue, you move on to the next thing. But it's in a retirement binder to see if it comes back to rear its ugly head, you have a way of pulling it back out of retirement and moving it up. Very fundamental things. And here's a whole bunch of people huddling. And as you can tell, there is a little bit of color around this. And we really give the people some freedom. It's kind of like I said at the beginning, this is a very family-oriented organization. People are really, good people at HAP. And what we try to do is give them a chance to spread their wings a little bit. Some have themes, like on the top left, there's a Scooby-Doo theme on there, where they have mysteries solved and stuff like that. And then others have other themes, the Wizard of Oz, or Yellow Brick Road, or some fun stuff. So we try to make it a lot of fun. And then in the top right, what you see is the huddle board is now more of a whiteboard, but you can still see the theme sort of surrounds it and gives people a chance to really solve problems on a daily basis, meet together, huddle around a problem, and continue, but also have fun doing it. So that's kind of gives you an idea. This is where the assessment comes in. I know you can't see it all, but the Institute for Excellence really taught us this, and the Shingo model. The behavioral assessment scale is on the left-hand side. And what we did was, on a level of 1 to 5, that's how Shingo scores their stuff. So you look at the behavioral aspects, what we call the behavior assessment scale, the role, the frequency, the duration, the sustainability, and the scope. Really, those are elements that we look at. And then we add more tactical elements, because it's more than just behavior. The behavior also has to, are they applying the tools properly? And that's where I use the Huddle System, more the tactical things. So if you look at the right-hand side, those behavior scales are on the lower part, and then the Huddle System scales are on the upper part, where you look at, are they consistently huddling? Is their team know their purpose? Do they have clear metrics? Are they filling out the metric sheets? Are they filling out the Pareto sheets? Are they filling out the PDCA learning cycle sheets? All those things we measure, and we show we assess it and give it a scale. And that's a really critical thing, because what we're noticing is some of them aren't huddling as much as we want, or they're not applying it properly. And that's okay. I mean, as long as you can know that it's measured that way and we're assessing it accordingly. And that's where we can look at it and saying, here's all the huddle systems going on, here's the leaders that they report up to, here's the senior vice presidents, and then we can gauge that and say, okay, what do we need to do differently? Are the leaders really, are they embracing this or not? It's all measured, and that really helps us get going. The PDCA learning cycle exercise, this is a really important part. Mike Rother from the University of Michigan, and lean author again, he used the domino exercise to keep employee engaged, and we use it to keep the employees engaged in class and to apply the principles. And it's clearly a PDCA learning exercise, because they have to measure it. But what you can see is these are IT people, all right, everybody? These are normally very serious people. But you can see the competitive spirit in them to say, let's have fun and do this. And you know what? We're learning PDCA in the long run too. And it's a great way to go back to them after we teach them lean and continually meet on improvements. We always go back to them and say, remember that domino exercise we did? and they remember it. It's a moment of truth that helps them remember something about PDCA, and that's where we kind of got them. So it kind of is always there. And I would just recommend, Mike Rother had another exercise. He did the domino one, but he also did one called Kata in the Classroom, which is one he does with puzzles, and it's a little bit quicker. So really cool stuff. The homework assignment, this is what it is. They get 6 weeks to do it. They did about 82 A3s, plus we did our own. I did my own last year with my team, so I practice what I preach. And then 2016, they have to complete as part of Henry Ford Health System's performance goals. Every leader in the organization has to do 2 A3s with their work cells. We judge and score every submitted A3, so we know how our training needs need to be tweaked a little bit, and which particular divisions need a little bit more attention to. So, because we use the learning to really judge the A3s, and then as the next slide shows, our CEO presented the ReThink cup, so you can see it's a big old cup, and it's fun. We make it very interesting, and we're trying to start this tradition, and it's an easy way to really keep ReThink going. So that's an example of what they did. They brought down their defect rate from 43 to 3%. So just kind of gives you an idea. The data and results. How does the training? We do a survey of how the training is done. These are the questions we ask, and so we look at knowledge improvement and satisfaction. And you can see that there's we improved our knowledge by about 1.4 and each year, and the satisfaction is really through the roof. They love the class. It says some people, and we have all the narratives of what they say about it. They say it's nothing like they normally see where it's in a classroom, because it's very dynamic. And 4.82 out of 5. I don't know if it's getting better and better every time. So a couple key things that we've noticed is senior leadership buy-in. That has been a critical element to what we do. And we've had a lot of different changes in this organization, but it's been exciting. I mean, we have a new CEO going to be coming on board soon, and we're hopefully getting the momentum so we can really help that person get acclimated with what we're doing with ReThink. And that's what our leaders are doing. Train all leaders first. So, and we actually started with the C-suite. We taught them the same thing we were teaching the supervisors and also the rest of the organization before opening up to the rest. So it kind of gives you an idea. Those are the elements that we use. A couple others, and you can tell that teach, coach, and mentor. And I would say the big thing that we're being put into now is we're putting more into a coaching role, and our leader, our chief operating officer, is really emphasizing us being more coaches than doers. And that's exactly what we told them we needed them to do, to help us become more coaches, and like put us out of business. But it's really, and that'll never happen, but it really helps us really get the message out and gets people a little bit out of their comfort zones to say, you got to step off that ledge a little bit and do it yourself. The A3 assignment is assigned to cascaded goals, so that's exciting stuff. So that's A3 submitted. We teach the same course to both leadership and the frontliners. We teach them about the tools, so we give them a hammer and a saw. We give them all the cultural philosophy, and we give them the management systems. That's really what at the center of this whole thing is. And we really emphasize this is not a flavor of the month. And that has been the critical element. A couple other slides here to go here. There we go. Blank free. And there we go. We build a strong side-by-side relationship with marketing communications. I would say this has been the critical element, was such a critical element. They're so creative. And I would say you all have different marketing pieces in your organization. It doesn't take a lot of effort, but it's such that when you can turn them loose and really get their creative juices flowing, it's not only great for ReThink, it's not only great for continuous improvement, but it makes them feel like they did something great. And I think, and we constantly are, celebrating their work that they did for us, and they continually do for us. Okay, never stop acknowledging and sharing successes. Employees that are engaged and happy to come into work every day. We learned that in Gallup. Never stop learning as continuous improvement. These are a lot of the things that we've been doing. Hold on. There we go. Develop relationship with those who share the same passion and the classes. That's why, I mean, working with Mike on this stuff has been a blessing too, with what we've been doing. And we've actually even built some of the Metro Detroit Lean Network that we've shared with some of our colleagues. I'm just going to switch slides here. Hold on. There we go. Have fun. Always have fun. This is kind of some of the examples of what we did, having fun. We had a domino exercise, a champion round, documented outcomes. So yeah, if you do all this stuff, things happen, you know. You increase lean knowledge, you have high satisfaction. Just a couple of things that we got out of this: reduced the claims backlog by 92%, customer service case inventory by net 73%, improved our cycle time. The big thing we had, employer group quote to card process, multi-divisions, improved our satisfaction from 65 to really over 90%. And then we also reduced our process timeliness from 42 to 14 days. Now it's down to 10 days. Had a little bit of cost savings there. But the bigger thing there that happens is, as you improve accuracy and timeliness, it gives the salespeople to hit the pavement more and sell more by 40%. So it really hits. It's just a fantastic opportunity. The salespeople love us. And really that's really what it's all about. We also reduced average call handle time. There were some maintained productivity and performance, even though there were some changes in our areas a little bit. We had to redeploy a lot of positions. Process changes. One of the A3s had a large savings figure just on some of the just different medication activities. In health insurance, one of the things that we always focus on is, like I said, there's a claims and there's an administrative piece to it. Everything we do, everything we measure falls into Q-tips, and that's really what we've tried to do. And this is just a sampling of some of the things that we've been seeing. Here's a couple of others. Payment integrity. So we were really attacking our fraud, waste, and abuse. We had around $11.3 million in savings there over 2 years. The bigger effort, though, the overall payment integrity, because we worked on the strategy, developed all the processes, and then worked with the vendor that was implemented, they actually incurred $33 million in savings. So it was pretty significant improvements there. That's real stuff. Increased our personal alliance membership. So like I said about revenue, so we affect the revenue stream by improving processes. We also improved member satisfaction scores with our J.D. Power, and that's been a great thing. We have work to do, but that's where we constantly are improving things. In 2016, like I said, we get into every division of the company, divisions of the company. We've helped with quoting productivity, medical benefit policy productivity, whether it's high-cost claims, moving paper to electronic, you name it. The product process, we get involved in it. And what we're really trying to do for 2017 is balance our team on the initiative so we can have the business areas do more of the improvements themselves and us being more in the coaching role. So that's going to be good. A couple last slide here. This is just the announcement of the Pinnacle Award. We were very happy about this. But again, I would say the journey is just beginning. I mean, we've gone this the last 3 years, but it's 2-3 years, but it's really our craft is the winner here. Not only HAP wins, but our craft, because we are showing that it can work beyond what Toyota is doing. It can work in healthcare, and I would say this, as you all know in the health space, we have a chance, if we use lean principles, we have a chance to save lives. And I don't think there's anything more valuable than that. I mean, when I see about the errors in the medical field, we have a chance, if we do this right, we can really make a difference in saving lives. So that's the thing that gets me the most. And company profitability is great, but when I see that, I think that's fantastic. Potential destination. I say potential because we have to wait for the leaders to really make sure they're all on board to make sure this continues. But this is really where we're trying to go. And as you can see, is The assessment scores, I wanted the assessment scores to be around 2 out of 5 in 2016. Next year I want to get to 3. Next year I want to get to 4. And that's where you get to the level when you can maybe get a Shingo examination. So that's really where I'm trying to get the organization to go. A lot of this has to do with our leadership. If they're on board with it, great. If not, I'm just going to continue to do assessments internally. But I would love to get the Shingo Prize in a few years if we're get to that level. I mean, that would be the giant thing to have. What is HAP's secret sauce? So these are just a couple of things. Oh, let me get that last slide here. Come on. Find mentors. Sell lean every day. Include lean in performance goals. Sell the program as not time intensive. That is like a critical thing. Everybody wants, in lean, you try to say, oh, I got to get you out of your work for a week. Well, you don't always have that luxury, so you got to do what you got to do. Have your internal customers share their stories. So it's not about CI. It's not about us. It's about the organization. Show patience, but move rapidly. That's a nice oxymoron. And expand your discipleship. Steal lean knowledge shamelessly, but credit liberally. I have so many friends who we credit all the time, and they credit us. And it's a great, almost like a fraternity to be in, to really help us to really be friends with each other and peers and help each other out, and because we're all looking for the same improvements. Align lean with corporate strategic goals. So these are the things that are widely, and we're really starting to get widely known at Henry Ford right now, which is a great opportunity. And then I can tell you right now, though, it is challenging every single day. Just today, I'm just running into things to say, are people applying lean techniques, and is it making a difference? And if they didn't apply the lean techniques, why? And how do we do it differently in the future? And those are the things that we constantly run on, and because we like we are always taught, we want to eliminate waste. How do we eliminate waste? We have to apply the tools. And why aren't they applying the tools? We've got to focus on that. So that's something we constantly reinforce. So that's my story. And I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Thanks, Michael. I've unmuted the phones, and also people can enter anything on the chat function if they have any questions. It's a quiet, courteous group today, huh?
Hopefully they listen.
Great. Well, I really appreciate what you've done here. I think this is action-packed with a lot of great advice and great perspective. As I was listening and watching, I think one of the things you're doing, which is very beneficial, as you're using the methodology for assessing, you're really quantifying the KBIs, or the key behavior indicators, in addition to the KPIs, or the key performance indicators. And so many organizations focus on the KPIs, but they don't really have a method or an approach to think about how are we doing relative to the behaviors. But as you know, and others on the phone know, or the webinar know, that if you can change the behaviors, that's going to influence the results, right?
Yeah, and I would say one of the big things that we are noticing is how do we get the senior leadership more involved? And we actually, we did put a KPI together that all the leaders share what they want to do as part of a ReThink performance goal. So we put it in our success shares. And what it does is it really gets them more engaged. And it is so hard, though. Everybody's so busy doing stuff, and all we're trying to do is get a little bit of improvement from everybody, and that's where we get the recognition we need. So it gets people involved at the C-suite level, and it also gets people involved at the line level. So we do look at the behavior aspects, which is really the critical element that we're changing. We're looking at the transactional aspects of huddles, and then we're also looking at all the KPIs and how is it what we're doing is having an impact on overall KPIs for the organization.
I think that's just great. I'll pause again and see if there are any questions. I don't see anything typed in on the chat function.
Hey, Mike, this is Jay.
Yes. Hi, Jay.
How are you?
Good.
Two-part question. First one is the core lean group that you have, does it have a tenure? Like after a certain period, do they go back into operations or some other functional area where they came from? or are they in the lean group as long as they're with the company? And the
Yep.
second part of the question is, clearly your results show outstanding results, but the results show that you're making great progress. So that potentially means that you're also enhancing your capacity, right? Or actually underutilizing your capacity because you're so much more efficient. What do you do with that excess capacity?
Yeah, those are great questions. I would say our area, my department has been more organic than anything else. I had a team of around 4 reporting to me. Now we really have 2, and then we have BA. They're doing BA work as well. But over time, what I've seen is, as I bring in people, they do get advancements within the company. I had one person who's not a director. She started as a lean person. I have others that have gone on. I've had contractors in our area which have gone on to be employees. So I would say, in terms of tenure, they are here for the long term. But what my leader always told me was, don't be surprised if they do get advancements, and then you just bring in more people, bring in different people. So I'm not against having this be short-term in nature, because there's always people who can journey with that. Now, in terms of like the ReThink champions, we're trying to develop expertise around the organization, which I think that's one of our biggest challenges right now, is how do I get people that are very interested in this and get them going on this, and then become an extension of us. Because that's really the journey. So I would say that's the first part. The second thing is, there's always waste. Obviously, there's 90-95% waste in any organization, and what we try to do is try to eliminate as much waste as possible. We always emphasize, what Toyota always emphasized, was redeployment. If you have to, if there are cuts in the organization, how do you make sure people aren't fired, or let go? In terms of doing that, obviously, but performance is another story. Obviously, you always want to focus on performance, the PIP scores. But as those things come around, you get into a position where you're not having people let go. And as open positions start to unfold, you can actually hit budget targets, and then that allows you to make the budget targets without letting people go. And I think that's really what my leader, Dr. Zarbo, always taught me. Was he always saw his PMPM go down over time, and that's really what we need to make sure we're focusing in on. Is your cost per member per month really going down over time? And I'm not afraid to really talk to the I always say budget targets, it's a little tricky. Budget targets can be tricky. You don't want to be pigeonholed into it, but the culture in our organization is changing, where I'm not afraid to make sure we can hit productivity, more productivity in the future, given what we've taught everybody.
Great. Thanks for the question, Ajay, and thanks, Michael, for those great thoughts. What I'm going to do is go through these slides just at the end and remind people what's next. So the recording for this terrific webinar is going to move over to the recording section. Everyone who participated today will get a copy of the link, as well as it's going to go out on our distribution system. So everyone will have a chance to do that. Michael, sometimes people ask if there's a copy of the presentation available, and sometimes the presenters are willing to give a PDF file. Is that something that you'd be willing, or do you want to talk about that offline?
Yeah, let's talk about it offline, and then we'll see how we can make it happen.
All right.
Yep.
So the next presentation is actually going to be next week. So Rafael Rojas from Providence Health Services is going to talk about mindfulness in the lean journey, some of the work that he did on his PhD dissertation, which I read and which is great. The people from the rehab department in Winneshiek Medical Center in Decorah, Iowa, are going to present in December on some of their application of this as it relates to rehab medicine in a presentation that we've titled Rogue Huddlers to Model Cell. And so they got a great presentation going on there. In January, Dirk Van Rossum, who gave a presentation last month, is going to do part 2 of that and going to talk about systems thinking, concepts and case studies, part 2. I'm also in discussions with the folks from the Mayo Franciscan organization about doing a presentation on their application of systems thinking, and specifically on the systems standard that we share with people to help them improve the systems that they have. That presentation is yet to be scheduled, probably will be in January as well. In February, Ajay, and he was one of the folks that had the question, is going to give a presentation on strategy execution and strategy deployment. Part of our series on putting together a white paper, the Pracademics Guide to Strategy Deployment. In March, we've got, again, Winneshiek Medical Center, Lisa Radke, this Chief Administrative Officer there, is going to share a presentation that they have. They were awarded top 20 critical access hospitals in the country, and they shared their presentation already at one conference, and they've got another conference coming up they're going to be presenting. So they're going to share their great learning and progress in March as well. Also in March, Debbie McAllister, who was with Sutter Health, she's now doing advising and coaching, Hansei coaching. She's going to talk about the power of vulnerability in coaching. That's going to be our March presentation. If anyone has stories they'd like to share or suggestions for topics, you can always reach out to me and let me know if you're interested, or if you are dealing with a situation you'd like to know if others are dealing with it. You can do it a webinar, or we can get together and put together a webinar. If you want to learn, if you benefit from LinkedIn and you'd like to join our group on LinkedIn, you can do that as well just by sending me an email. And then the next course offering that we have that's available is February 8th and 9th. We have a System by Design course hosted by Memorial Care Health in Long Beach, California, February 8th and 9th. And you can see the bit.ly link there. You can pick that up on the recording once we send this out to folks. So I appreciate everyone's time today. I think we're just about on time, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, a little delayed, but if you're traveling, I hope you're traveling and safe, and have a good day. And remember to vote next Tuesday. Thanks a lot.
Yep. So good. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. We'll talk in a few days.
All right.
Bye.